Welcome to another edition of Talk City Greensboro, produced by GTN, featuring interviews and events happening around town. It's an easy way to stay in the know while you're on the go. Subscribe to Talk City on iTunes, Pandora, or SoundCloud so you can keep up with what's going on in Greensboro City government and beyond. I'm your host, Rodney Dawson, and looking to my right, I see the consummate professional, Rosemary Plowby.
Always glad to be here. We'll talk about consummate professional. We've got one to my right today, of course, and it's April Albritton, City of Greensboro Chief of Staff. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Now, I bet a lot of people didn't know that your background is in sports. So
Yes.
tell us kind of how you got here.
Absolutely. It's an interesting journey with one extra stop that you probably aren't expecting at all. So
Okay.
I am a UNCG graduate. Go Spartans. I'm a diehard Spartan fan. I love supporting our team. So I went here in years that will remain.
I was going to ask you when you were here.
No.
But
We
it
don't
was
do that.
you can kind of date me a little bit. So I was a kinesiology major and basketball manager for Fran McCaffrey, who's now the head coach over at Iowa. So I was there for him, and then Mike Dement, which is interesting. I was the only female on the road running practices, a part of the men's basketball team for 3.5 years.
What does that mean, running practice?
That means exactly what it says. They give me the clipboards. They're saying, all right, we need you. I was a terrible shot, so they knew I could run the rebound drills because it wasn't going in. It was always going to brick. So that was the different. At the time, I wanted to be a coach as well. Growing up, I wanted to be Mickey Andrews, who was the defensive coordinator for Florida State under Bobby Bowden. That's one of my legends when it came down to it. And I just wanted to get into sports any way I knew how. So at some point, I think one of our teammates came to me and said, "Hey, you seem really cool. Do you want to be our head manager?" And I was like, "What do I have to do?" And they were like, "You travel, you help us with practice. That's it." So I was like, yeah, I can do that. It was not all you have to do. You are a constant babysitter, doctor, coach, all of the above. It was the greatest years of my life. I am always proud to have been a part of that. We actually just inducted, I actually got a varsity letter for it. So I get to say, we just inducted one of my teammates into the UNCG Hall of Fame.
Nice.
And he was actually named one of the greatest American players in European basketball. So Kyle Hines. So it was a really good experience. And from there, longtime athletic director Nelson Bob kind of took me under his wing. It was like, I think you'd be great in athletic administration. And I was like, well, I want to be a coach, but I am trying to do something really hard. So, let's go that route. So I have had some amazing experiences. I worked at Davidson College when a little unknown up-and-coming sophomore at the time, Steph Curry, was there. We used to hang out in our office all the time. I got to see that growth and see the amazing person that he still is. An amazing player he was. From there, I went to the University of Washington. So I'm a diehard Husky fan. Go Dogs. Love the purple and gold, and actually got to go with them to the Sugar Bowl last year and watch them beat Texas. Didn't work out.
How'd you deal with that cold weather?
You know what? Seattle is not that different from North Carolina. They don't get snow because of the mountain ranges. So by the time the snow gets over, it's rain.
Okay.
And that's why you get rain all the time. Now it was cold for me because I'm a Southern belle, and it doesn't even like get warm there till July. But when it does, you kind of forget. You're like, oh my God, this is so nice. This is where I want to be. So Seattle is like my second home. I go back as much as possible. I was there last year. And got to go to another Husky game, so that was really enjoyable. From there, College of Charleston, another great athletic program.
When were you there?
I was at the College of Charleston 2010 to 2013, but I still go back each and every year as well. So
You know the name Dominique Poole?
yeah, I think we actually talked about
Did
this.
we?
So I think we did. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's my first cousin. He was played football and baseball at Charleston.
That is an amazing thing. So a lot of history there as well. And they actually just had one of the greatest games in basketball history. They beat FAU, who we all know made the Final Four run a year ago. And so overtime buzzer beater happened there. So that was pretty amazing. And then from there, I keep going. I went to Stony Brook up in Long Island, New York. Came back down, had a career in broadcasting, actually, and got to work for Time Warner Cable then and Beasley Media at the time, but realized I didn't want to start over in a career again. So UNCG recruited me back here, and then the pandemic hit. And working through athletics was great, but, the pandemic was tough. And I really decided that I wanted to work more with people and residents in our community. And so our previous city manager said, hey, I think I got a role for you. I came over as the assistant to the city manager, and now I'm the chief of staff, even under this new administration, which basically gives me time to work for free in athletics, which UNCG loves. So they don't have to pay me anymore, but they still get the volunteer hours.
I bet.
Still got the passion for it.
I do.
Now,
I absolutely
what
do.
city are you from, April?
I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, so I've seen the rise in sports. I'm old enough to remember when the Hornets came, and then they left, and then they were the Bobcats. Now they're the Hornets again. I was there for the inaugural year of the Panthers. Me and my dad used to go down to Clemson. I am a season ticket holder now, so pray for me because we have the Chiefs this week. But I've seen, the baseball team move from Rock Hill now to downtown Charlotte, and now they have MLS, which is absolutely amazing. So to see that rise and see how the city has really rallied around it is amazing.
So you know sports. You grew up in it.
I do.
You followed it, went to school and learned the administrative side of it. And you come from the Queen City.
That's right.
Which is, we're 300,000. I think they're the greater
Yeah.
metropolitan area, over 1 million.
Yes,
correct?
absolutely.
So it's not similar size.
Right.
But similar in geography.
Correct.
I want to ask you about we know what we have here, but the history of sports here. What does it look like? Is it a strong, robust history, or is it something that needs improvement? Well, how do you feel about the sports history here?
I think you have to look at it in a couple of different ways. You've got the professional sports landscape, and that's super important. I actually saw this when I lived in New York, where you've got the Mets, the Jets, the Nets, you've got the Yankees, you've got the Giants. But then what people miss out on is that New York also has this really robust collegiate landscape. They are well known for lacrosse up there. They're dominating. St. John's was a basketball powerhouse for many years with Lou Carnesecca. And so they're two different worlds. And it's like, okay, do you excel in both those worlds? I think New York does a great job of that. So here in Greensboro, in the state of North Carolina, we've got a robust professional side of things. But North Carolina, in all its history, is a college and high school athletic town.
Right.
And Greensboro has been at the cusp of that history. And I think we continue to carry that forward. And I think that we're continuing to excel in that area as well. Would I love to see professional sports here one day? Absolutely. But I think we have to keep, just looking at the successes that the city of Greensboro has had previously. We're known as tournament town. The ACC left, but we're still getting some of those tournaments here, especially on the women's side of the game. We're seeing the rise in women's basketball. Last year, Guilford College played in the Division II Final Four and had the Division II Player of the Year in Tyler Dearman. I mean, just a basketball powerhouse, which is absolutely amazing. UNCG in soccer across the board has been a dominant force, winning 3 D3 back-to-back championships. When I was in college, they were ranked number 1. I believe Chris Rich has been there 4 or 5 years and has either won the regular season or the conference championship every single year. And then A&T and track, you can't catch them. You can't.
That's the point.
Yeah. And then you go over to Grimsley, which has a really great football program and is putting out D1 athletes.
We're working on something on that right now.
Okay. See, I love it.
Trying to follow their championship run this year.
And you should. I'm looking forward to it. A buddy of mine's son who just committed to Notre Dame this weekend, Thomas Davis Jr. plays for Weddington, and so I can't wait to see that matchup.
That's the one I'm worried about.
That's
the one my daughter said the other day.
There.
Are we playing Weddington? Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's also
hopefully
you're right.
we get there.
And really quick, there's a track athlete. My wife actually delivered her, and I'm a personal friend with the mother that just performed overseas, is highly ranked internationally, a student at Grimsley, and just committed to USC.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
The student?
USC or South Carolina?
Yeah, Southern California.
Okay, see,
Okay.
I like that. I like it. There's a difference.
Right.
You got. I've lived on both coasts, and I'm a North Caroliner, so I never give South Carolina the credit that's due, even though they are also great in sports. But I'm like,
There's a little friendly rivalry.
Yeah, you
there.
gotta disseminate there. But that, That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is the mecca of all things track.
At the game last week, this is not on paper. At the game last week, the coach from Tennessee, whom the quarterback at Grimsley has committed to, he was there. He was at the Page game. But last week, Manny Diaz, the coach for Duke football program, was there apparently looking at some other players on Grimsley.
I've heard
as they
some
should.
really
Yeah.
great things about what he's doing up at Duke. Another friend of mine's son did a official visit up there. He hasn't announced yet, and I won't say who it is because I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder.
No.
But he was like, from the presentation they put out, that's where I'd want my son to go immediately because you're getting the best of both worlds, academics and athletics. I'm also a Duke basketball fan, so
We won't hold that
biased.
against
Yeah,
you.
we won't.
Let's go.
Sorry, I veered off course, Rosemary.
No, it's good. So I think what you're saying is that, there is a place, while professional sports are important and we love them and they bring in a lot of dollars, so do amateur sports,
Absolutely.
college, high school, amateur,
Absolutely.
these tournaments that we have kids coming
That's
from all
it.
over the country here
Yes.
to play and to compete. So let's talk about our facilities. Like,
Okay.
what are the draws that we really have that are bringing in all these tournaments, all these competitions?
Absolutely. So we've got facilities, and some people I don't even know exist. So Bryant Park is a soccer powerhouse facility. I mean, we are always hosting tens of thousands of kids throughout the year for soccer tournaments out there. It's also home to Fusion, which is kind of like right now it's our professional level soccer team and developmental league. So that's a great facility. I know the city a few years ago invested about $2 million in ARP funds to make sure that facility stays up to date.
What does that mean? ARP?
So ARP is American Rescue Plan funding that the government gave out a few years ago during COVID to really help
Okay.
cities when they were going through some really tough times. And so the city of Greensboro, I think we got about $38 million in rescue funding, and we wanted to make sure that we were investing back in our community, whether that's nonprofits and facilities. And so they were one of the ones who put in an application. A lot of it was to turf their fields to make sure that when kids are coming out there, they're getting the most elite experience
Right.
in soccer.
Okay.
And so that's been a big win for the city of Greensboro. But that's a great facility. Another one is our Bryant Park National Golf Course, which has
gorgeous.
hosted PGA championships there. And then on the private side, Sedgefield Country Club, which hosts the Wyndham every single year. So I am terrible at golf, but I love playing. There is literally like a 6-iron in my front seat. This is kind of a little hidden treasure, but Gillespie Golf Course, ran by Bob Brooks. You can go out there for $5 and get a bucket of balls and just whack away, which I absolutely love doing.
And big work happening there too to make it even
exactly.
better. So
9 holes, so you can play front and back and really kind of get in that full day. And I tell you, we got some pros out there as well. So that's a little hidden gem treasure that I like, because a lot of times when you have these elite facilities, they're not accessible to everyone. That's not the case here in Greensboro. So I'm proud of that. We've got First National Bank baseball stadium. I actually remember when the Grasshoppers moved there, I think in about 04, 05. And that was a great facility. It brings families out. I'd love to see it activated throughout the year. But it is privately owned. But if you're listening, come on. Come talk to me. I got some ideas for you.
April's got lots of
I
ideas.
do. And then as well as the field house over at the Coliseum, which is where the Greensboro Swarm play.
Right.
So that's a top-notch facility. I think
How is that doing as far as draw and attendance?
Oh, they draw. I mean, going to a Swarm game is a lot of fun. I'm actually excited because we're meeting with the team president, Steve Swatoa, this week, myself and the city manager, because we do recognize that sports and being a hub of recreation and the youth sports capital, those are actually in our council priorities. So there is a reason we want to make sure that we're investing in that. So while the Swarm record may not be the best, you're going to get a really entertaining game there. And that's, not always their fault. The Hornets aren't great either. So they're not my Hornets of the Dell Curry.
And the Hornets are going to take the best players.
Exactly.
And that's just how it goes.
But every now and then you might see a Ball brother playing there, or, some Leaky Black, guys like that.
Yeah,
who come
that's fun.
From Chapel Hill. I think that's like a D2 basketball program. But, there's some talent there. And so you get a chance to see those guys come through,
So
which
much
is super
shade.
exciting.
I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the shades of blue
Well,
around
let's
this
wait for
table.
the end of the
All the
year.
time.
Oh, she's talking about Duke. You know, you mentioned
I
before. it
know.
was
That's
Tourney
another
Town.
podcast.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
another one.
Oh, I'm ready.
I know. But
I'm
you know, I
excited.
was preparing for this. I was looking at the history of our city and the sporting that has come to the Gate City. You know, we hosted the NCAA Men's Final Four in 1974. Longtime host of the ACC
Was
tournament.
that when State won their first national
I
championship?
think so.
I think
With
so, yeah.
David Rob, was
Yep.
it David? Not Robertson. What's his name?
Thompson.
David
Yep,
Thompson.
David Thompson.
And got a hockey team that's coming.
I am super excited about this hockey team. So it's the ECHL team. So being from Charlotte, I'm a big Checkers fan. They actually won the Calder Cup a couple years ago. So I've seen how robust that fan base can be. And I tell you, a hockey game is a lot of fun. To watch them skate on, these little ice skates and throwing punches and knocking that puck around. And I've also seen the rise in what hockey can do. I was in Seattle when they talked about the Kraken coming on board. I have a really good friend who was actually there before they even voted the team in and has been a part of that inception. Within 3 years, they've already made, a playoff run. And so I think about what that can do here in Greensboro, and I'm ecstatic. I mean, the Canes, when they moved to North Carolina from Hartford, Connecticut, played in Greensboro for 2 years.
Until
Yeah.
their home was ready. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's something that I'm looking forward to, but I think we've been primed for it for a while.
You answered the question I was going to ask you.
My bad.
No, it's fine. You did it naturally since we started. But so I'm going to insert this one in here.
Okay.
What can we make of the high-profile games that we've seen come to the Greensboro Coliseum in the past week, 2 weeks or so? I'm talking about when Michigan played Wake Forest, UConn women went up against UNC, the Tar Heels.
Yeah.
What is that? Should we expect something out of it?
I think that things like that, again, go to the history of Greensboro, but also the fact that we have a 22,000-seat Coliseum, the largest, I know in North Carolina, I want to say on the East Coast. And so as we're going into this NIL, which is name, image, and likeness phase of amateur sports, these kids, I mean, they've got to market themselves now. This is, I'm not going to say it's a job, because then I'll get called into Congress and they'll be like, what are you talking about? But these kids are basically full-time employees now. And so they want to market themselves in the best facilities and the largest crowd. And so Greensboro provides that. And because of that, we're going to get the best talent to come here. And that's super exciting. I believe, Iowa was down in Charlotte last year with Caitlin Clark. Greensboro can now say, well, we can actually give you the best opportunity to showcase these athletes. And I think you got that with that Michigan game, and Wake Forest coming out on top, which is super impressive, because I knew that would be a hard-fought game with Dusty May being the coach at Michigan. He took FAU on that run that we've talked about. So you're literally seeing some of these dynasties being born, some of these top-notch coaches really coming into their own, and it's happening in our own backyard. So I think what that says for Greensboro is that the ACC may not officially call us home, but you don't have to have an actual conference here in your city to draw that talent in. And nowadays, I mean, you've got Cal and Stanford in the ACC too. So we're going to start seeing talent that we don't normally get to see in person coming to North Carolina. And I'll be honest, when I lived out on the West Coast, they knew North Carolina was a basketball mecca. And so I think it's having this dynasty, it's having this legacy, and people saying, okay, we understand who you are, and we want to honor that now.
All right, we talked about what Greensboro does have, and so everybody wonders, could we get professional sports here?
Yeah.
What do you think would be the most likely thing to come here, and what would that look like?
Yeah, so, we in the 90s were an option possibly for the Minnesota Twins to relocate here, but people didn't want to fund a stadium. We've kind of seen some sales taxes that have not gone through here either. So I try not to get super excited about like a major league team coming here, but we know that North Carolina is lacking Major League Baseball. They've got everything else. They've got hockey. We've got basketball, football, and hockey is really actually where we've won our state's only pro cup in there. One of the things that I'm seeing growing, I know we have the Courage up in Raleigh. I think that on the soccer side of things, Greensboro could see really that right under MLS come and do really well here, whether that is kind of like a MLS development team or USL, which is another league that you see some success in, like the Charleston Battery. So I'd love to see that here. We've got some work to do if we want to get a major league team here, point blank period. You've got to get a revenue stream that's going to be able to fund what that facility looks like. And I think our residents are ready for that. You've just got to be able to present that to them. There are a lot of really great positives that happen when you bring a professional team to a city. I mean, just the what is to do, the dynamics. I think it really hones to our 70,000 college students that are here. But we've got some infrastructure we've got to get in place. Luckily, infrastructure is one of our city managers' priorities and goals. So we may be laying the groundwork for something 15, 20 years down the line. But I think we have to also just keep working on our semi-pro teams and getting them to be, championship level, as well as continuing to bring these major conference events as well.
I'm one that grew up knowing stats as far as which are the largest cities in the state and things like that. So whom can we look to as an example? Is there a city that structured similarly to us? We're a city of 300,000 people, and I think there's some cities out there with major league or professional teams that are smaller.
Correct.
So that tells me it may not always be about the numbers, but what's a city that we can kind of compare?
One city I like to look at a lot of times is Cincinnati, where they've got two teams. They've got the Reds. They've got the Bengals already there. Same exact size city. So, again, it's about what we prioritize and how we can build that infrastructure. Another one is Pittsburgh. We're the same exact size as Pittsburgh as well. And you look, they've got the Pirates. They've got the Steelers. So, I mean, they're in it. They're in there as well. But then I look at places like South Carolina that has absolutely no professional teams whatsoever, but they're still known as sports meccas with South Carolina. And I'm talking about women's basketball, of course, but track and field is great there. Clemson won, back the national championship twice. Savannah, Georgia, with the Savannah Bananas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just put my
Genius.
name on a year-long lottery list to go to a baseball game to watch guys dance. I'm super excited about this. I've been trying to get to a Bananas game for probably the last 2.5 years.
It might be the hardest ticket in sports right now.
Did they come here recently?
They did. They did a tour. Yeah.
I think it was the Party Animals, which is like their other group. So, this is a huge opportunity. But I think we could field something like that and do it well and be known as we're known as a sports hub to begin with. But I think that's kind of how we have to get started, and then we go from there.
Good stuff.
How do we keep up with the sports in Greensboro? I mean, there's so much. Like, how do you? I feel like I saw cheerleaders in town this weekend.
Right.
There must have been some big event because they were walking around Target all dressed up. But that would have been cool to watch.
Yeah.
But how do you know what things are going on and where they are?
I think. Just by default, I know a lot of things because I love sports. But I think if it's a regular person just trying to get involved, social media is great. I think the city does a good job of highlighting what's coming into town. The Visitors Bureau and their app keeps us up to date. I also follow all the universities here in town because, again, you had a Final Four run from our D2, program. That was super exciting for Guilford College. And that was talent that I didn't want to miss out on watching. So I just go ahead and hit follow. Sometimes they'll follow you back. And they do a great job of promoting what's going on at that level, too.
Love it.
Yeah.
April, thank you. It's so fun to talk with you.
This is exciting.
I had more, but we'll have to bring you back to get those questions answered.
I am here.
Right upstairs.
Especially when Duke beats Carolina.
Oh, no.
Just let me know. It will.
Is she still talking?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think her mic is out.
She needs a vacation.
It'll be really
She's been working
easy
too
when
hard.
that happens. And I'd love to get back on here after Grimsley Weddington. I'm rooting for the hometown team.
And you know what we need to see? Grimsley versus Dudley. One time.
Ooh, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be. I don't know. See, that's the ones where you have to move it to another facility to really show how many
Make it a
people are there.
fundraiser.
Exactly.
I think that'd be really cool. Do
I'd be
something
here
good
for
for the
that.
community
Right.
for that game.
That'd be great.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, April.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in, and all our viewers. And stay tuned in weekly by subscribing to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Pandora. And don't forget, you can download Talk City from SoundCloud. That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Talk City.
Hey, don't forget to watch GTN. It's your official source for news and information about the city of Greensboro. GTN is available on Spectrum Channel 13,
AT&T UVerse Channel 99, and Lumos 31.
GTN also streams live on Roku and the city's website at greensboro-nc.gov.